Let's begin today's episode with a quote from Helen Keller. Self-pity is our worst enemy, and if we yield to it, we can never do anything wise in this world. That's Helen Keller telling you that, folks. Let me tell you that there's no greater killer in all of our culture than self-pity. Why? Because it's a self-created prison. And it affects people at all levels of society and is no respecter of persons in that sense. It's ego-driven. And I need you to understand that what it really is grief interrupted. Helen Kubler-Ross wrote the 5 stages of grieving, and self-pity finds itself trapped in denial of what's really going on, and it triggers anger and depression. It is an easy thing to fix if you know what you're doing, but let's take a look, for example, at the opioid crisis. Everybody's familiar with it, and it has caused quite a flurry in our nation. But you got to ask yourself, why do people take opioids? They take them because they're in pain, great pain. And rather than deal with the pain in our culture, we'd rather take the path of political expediency and claim victimhood. It's a trap, ladies and gentlemen. Self-pity is ego-generated, and it robs people of the chance or the opportunity to enjoy life. Self-pity, victimhood, is a very easy thing to claim and to fall back on to explain why your life feels so miserable. But in recovery, for example, we are taught that I'm not a victim of what happened to me in the past. I am a victim of the way I reacted to that. Self-pity is a trauma response, and it's one that can last for a lifetime in people unless they're able to do something about it. I found something to do about it in my research about living life on life's terms and not our own. And, we discover that it's possible in recovery to go back and change the reaction that we had. And this is amazing, but it still doesn't necessarily relieve self-pity or the concept of victimhood. How I was able to overcome my own self-pity was I made a conscious decision that whenever I felt I was feeling sorry for myself, I would just allow myself to wallow in it, but only for a preset period of time. For example, something happens in my life and I don't react well to it and I start feeling sorry for myself. If I can set a preset time, like let's say I'm going to just wallow in self-pity today, but tomorrow I'm going to let it go. And I have found that, it may surprise you, but I have found that very capable of relieving my self-pity and put me back on the path of living life on life's terms, which is, again, living life on life's terms is where you truly find serenity for your life because you're living in the moment. And self-pity resides in the past, and the past is fixed. Can't do anything about it. But you can do something about it today, and that's just to let yourself wallow, because in that process, you will go through the 5 stages of grieving and come out at the end with acceptance, that I accept that that thing or trauma or whatever it is that brought forth my sense of victimhood, my sense of self-pity, that thing, it belongs right where it is, and that's in the past. And the only way you can escape that is by a serious attempt to live life on life's terms, which means living life in the moment. Remember, the past is fixed, the future has possibilities, but the moment is where you find peace and serenity. And when something tries to rob me of that peace and serenity, I know what to do. I say, for the next 4 hours, or for the next hour, or the next day, or the next week, I'm just going to wallow in it and wash all of those feelings from me. It's a hard thing to do, or it can be a very hard thing to do, because people are stuck in their self-pity. We call it a pity party in AA. And, so what's the solution to a pity party? Let yourself have it and just wallow while you advance through the stages of grieving to acceptance. And as I said the other day, acceptance is the answer to all my problems. Of course, I've studied all these things in my life, but I'm really just a nobody. I'm just a commentary.